So let's cut the noise. Forget everything you think you know about wealth. The hustle, culture grind. The anxiety of never enough. The whole world's chasing paper, stuck on the hamster wheel, and it's absolutely exhausting. A total dead end. But what if I told you the real jackpot, the infinite supply, the Genesis code for limitless everything is already running inside you? Yeah, I'm talking about your inner divinity. Not as some poetic fluffy idea. I mean the actual operational creative power that whipped up universes. And it's your core operating system. We've been reading the Bible, the Torah, the wisdom texts like they're history books or rule books. But they're not. They're a cipher, a blueprint. The Genesis code is the ultimate user manual for how consciousness, your awareness of that inner divine, manifests, shapes, and pours itself out as your tangible world, your health, your relationships, and yeah, your wealth. Real wealth. The kind that flows because you're tapped into the source that can't run dry. This means your bank account, your opportunities, or your breakthroughs, they're not out there. They're an inside job. We're gonna crack how your quiet, constant connection to this inner divinity literally rewrites your reality from the inside out. It's not about getting rich. It's about realizing you are the richness, and then watching the world catch up to that fact. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you're gonna see that dusty word, Genesis, in a whole new light. You're gonna get a real key, and you might just realize the vault door you've been banging on, it doesn't even have a lock. But here's the kicker. What if the final piece of the code isn't in anything I say, but in what you realize in the silence after we're done? If this hit different, if you felt that click inside, do me a solid, like this video, drop a comment with the symbolic number 777 if you're cracking the code, and subscribe. This isn't just a channel, it's a fellowship, and we're just getting started. Let's get it. Because here's the brutal, beautiful truth about that outer chase. The Grenze Lee. Let's just call it for what it is. We've been sold a bill of goods, a complete fiction, that says the path to abundance is paved with 16-hour days, relentless self-promotion, and a hustle that burns your soul down to a nub. We're told to optimize, monetize, and capitalize every single breath, to treat ourselves like machines and our lives like a business plan where the bottom line is never quite fat enough. And how's that working for everybody? You're running on that hamster wheel, legs pumping, heart pounding, chasing the carrot of more clients, more revenue, more stuff, but the scenery never changes. It's just the same cycle of anxiety, effort, and exhaustion. You hit one goal, and immediately the horizon shifts to the next one. There's no arrival, only fatigue. That's because you're operating in the realm of effect, forever scrambling to rearrange the outside world, hoping it'll finally make you feel secure and whole inside. It's backwards. And it's a trap. This entire worldview is built on a foundational error, the belief that supply is out there, that wealth is a limited resource you have to fight, claw. What if I peed for? It frames the universe as a place of scarcity where for you to win, somebody else has to lose. So you're constantly in a state of low-grade panic, protecting your piece of the pie, eyeing your neighbor's slice. It turns life into a tense transaction, a constant calculation of what you can extract. That's not abundance. That's spiritual poverty wearing a gold-plated mask. The exhaustion you feel isn't just physical. It's a soul, deep signal that you're plugged into the wrong power source. You're trying to run the infinite potential of your being on the finite battery of your personal human will. It's like trying to power New York City with a AA battery. Of course you're drained. Of course it feels like a lie, because it is. The promise that this outer grind leads to lasting peace and real prosperity is the oldest con in the book. It keeps you looking outside, begging from a world of effects, when the entire time the Genesis engine, is purring silently within you, untouched and waiting. You're seeking a drip from a faucet when you're standing knee-deep in the ocean. The fatigue is the gift. It's your inner being waving the white flag, telling you to surrender the old, broken method so you can finally be shown the real one. That exhaustion, that white flag from your soul, is the starting point for the real work. Because when you're finally tired of running on empty, you become still enough to listen. And what you begin to hear, or more accurately, to remember, is the hum of your original equipment. This is what we're getting at with There's Your Core OS, the inner divinity blueprint. We're not talking about adding a new app to your cluttered mental desktop. We're talking about the fundamental operating system upon which every single experience of your life is running. Forget what religion or dogma may have told you about God being some distant, judgmental figure in the sky. That's a cartoon. We're pointing to something far more intimate and powerful. This inner divinity is the very fabric of your conscious being. It is the I am before the I am a banker, I am a parent, I am struggling, I am successful. It is the unshakable, silent awareness that is reading these words right now. It is the source of your ability to think, to perceive, to create, and to love. It is not something you earn or achieve. It is your is-ness, your capital self, and it is inherently whole, complete, and infinitely resourceful. This is your original blueprint. Before the world told you who you were supposed to be, before you adopted its fears and its limited stories of lack, this was and is your core configuration. In the Genesis allegory, this is the image and likeness, not a physical picture, but a functional reality. Just as a wave is not the ocean, but is made of the ocean and can never be separated from its source and substance, you are an individual expression of this infinite consciousness. Your very existence is its activity. Your breath is its rhythm. Your capacity for inspiration is its inbreathing. This isn't poetic metaphor. It's the technical schematic of a spiritual being having a human experience. When Joel Goldsmith spoke of the Christ, he wasn't pointing to a historical person as much as he was identifying this very principle, the divine reality of the individual, the God self within you as you. That's the Christ in you, the hope of glory. The hope, the certainty, is that this inner divinity is your soul activator. It is the only genuine creative power in your universe. Every thought, every action, every manifestation that is rooted in the personal egoic self, the self that feels separate and anxious, carries the seed of limitation and exhaustion we just talked about. But every impulse, every knowing, every movement that flows from an awareness anchored in this inner divinity carries the inherent properties of its source, harmony, wholeness, and inexhaustible flow. This is the ultimate hack. You are not a beggar trying to build a kingdom. You are the heir who has forgotten the combination to his own vault. The wealth, the intelligence, the right ideas, the perfect relationships, they are not creations you must painfully assemble. They are revelations that emerge naturally when your awareness is aligned with and yielded to this core OS. The struggle isn't in the creating. It's in the getting your small self out of the way of what is forever seeking to express itself as your life. And that's the paradigm shift that cracks everything wide open. When you start from this awareness of your core OS, you begin to read the old stories with new eyes. You realize the sacred texts aren't about ancient people in deserts. They're a mirror, a direct transmission about the mechanics of your own consciousness. This brings us to the game, Changer Us Genesis as Cypher, not history. We've been reading the first book of the Bible like it's a newspaper report from the year 4004 BC. We get bogged down in debates about dinosaurs and day length, missing the entire glorious point. It's not a record of physical events, it's a masterclass in metaphysics, a coded manual describing how formless spirit becomes formed experience. In the beginning isn't a point on a timeline, it's the foundational, ever-present know from which all experience springs. God, in this code, is that infinite conscious substance we've been calling your inner divinity. What are the creation? It describes in 6 days. That's the perfect, sequential process by which your own perception forms your world. Take day 1. Let there be light. This isn't about the sun. The sun shows up on day 4. The first light is conscious awareness itself. It's the moment you wake up from the darkness of living purely through the 5 physical senses and the chattering personal mind. It's the dawning realization, I am conscious, I am awareness. That's the first and most fundamental act of creation in your universe. Without that light of your own awareness, nothing else can appear. Every single thing in your world, your body, your home, your bank account, exists for you only because the light of your consciousness is shining upon it. Then the code gets even more precise. It talks about the firmament, separating waters from waters. Think of that as the power of discernment, your ability to separate the absolute, spiritual truth from the ever-changing appearances of the physical world. It's learning to not be hypnotized by the evidence of lack or struggle, but to abide in the higher truth of your spiritual sufficiency. The dry land appearing is the forming of your own individual consciousness, a stable place where specific ideas can take root and grow. The seed-bearing plants are your own productive, creative thoughts, each carrying within it the innate intelligence to produce after its kind. A thought of fear produces a harvest of limitation. A thought rooted in the awareness of spiritual supply produces a harvest of manifestation. This is why it's called Genesis. It's the generating principle. The code is showing you that your world is not happening to you. It is happening from you. It is an outpicturing, a projection of the foundational beliefs and states of consciousness you are holding in your own heaven, your inner realm of awareness. The people, the circumstances, the opportunities, the so-called luck, they are all playing roles on the stage of your life, but the script is being written moment by the quality of your connection to your source. To see Genesis as history is to miss its power. To read it as a cipher is to receive the master key to your own creative authority. It means every challenge is a miscreation based on a misperception, and every possibility is already present in the infinite potential of your own I am-ness, waiting for the light of your focused awareness to call it forth. So if the script is being written from within, then the entire game changes. You stop trying to fix the projection on the wall, and you go straight to the projector. This is the practical, radical application. Manifestation is an inside-out broadcast. It's not about manipulating the world. It's about aligning your broadcast signal, the dominant frequency of your conscious awareness, with the infinite potential of your source. What you call manifesting is simply the world catching up to the truth you've already anchored inside. Think of your inner divinity, your core OS, as a perfect, limitless radio tower. It is forever transmitting the qualities of its nature: wholeness, harmony, intelligence, abundance, joy. This is the signal of I am. It's non-stop. But you, as the individual receiver, have a dial. That dial is your consciousness, your state of awareness, your chosen focus and feeling. Most of us have our dial set to a scratchy, low-frequency station called the personal self. This station broadcasts fear, memory, lack, opinion, and reaction 24/7. It's a static of past conditioning and future anxiety. So even though the perfect, powerful signal of the divine is pouring through you, you can't hear it, you can't experience it, because you're tuned to the wrong channel. The world then reflects back to you the only signal you're acknowledging: the static. You see lack, you experience friction, you meet limitation, because that's what you're broadcasting and therefore receiving. Real wealth creation, then, has nothing to do with frantic external action. It's the disciplined, gentle art of retuning your dial. It's shifting your primary identification from the noisy personal ego station to the clear, powerful frequency of the I am. This is what meditation, prayer, and spiritual treatment are truly for: not to beg a distant God, but to silence the static long enough to let the pristine signal come through. You sit, you get quiet, you turn within, you consciously affirm, I am not the lack, I am not the anxiety, I am the very substance of divine supply, individualized here and now. You don't say it to change God's mind. You say it to change your own station. You are declaring the truth of your being to your own awareness until your awareness believes it, feels it, and knows it. And here's the metaphysical law: consciousness objectifies itself. Your outer world is a time-delayed mirror of your inner state. Once your consciousness is dialed into the frequency of spiritual abundance, once you feel the reality of being the very substance of wealth, rather than someone who needs it, the universe has no choice but to rearrange the props. New ideas will dawn with a clarity that feels like download. Synchronicities will occur, what you call lucky breaks. People will appear as agents of your good. Resources will find you. This isn't magic. It's cause and effect. You've changed the cause. The effect must follow. The money, the opportunity, the solution is not the miracle. The miracle is the shifted consciousness. The form is just the formless taking shape, conforming perfectly to the new, clearer, more powerful signal you are now broadcasting from the depths of your being. You stop chasing reflections and start emitting the light that casts them. This realization dismantles the final and most insidious illusion of the chase. When you truly understand that the outer world is a time-delayed echo of your inner broadcast, the whole frantic pursuit of wealth collapses into a quiet knowing. You stop seeing yourself as someone on the outside trying to get in. The paradigm shatters because you see the truth. You don't get rich. You vary the riches. The wealth you've been seeking is not a pile of currency you amass. It is the very nature of the substance you are made of. The infinite cannot lack. The source cannot be poor. And since your true identity is an individualization of that source, lack is a state of amnesia, not a state of reality. This flips the script from acquisition to recognition. You are not a blank slate, an empty cup, begging the universe to fill you up. You are the overflow itself. Your work is not to create abundance, but to remove the mental and emotional blocks, the beliefs in separation, in scarcity, in unworthiness, that are inhibiting your natural, free, flowing expression of the abundance that constitutes your being. Think of a diamond buried in mud. The diamond doesn't need to go find its brilliance. It needs the mud cleared away so its innate, flawless nature can refract light. You are clearing the mud of false conditioning. The riches, the intelligence, the creativity, the love, the innovative ideas, the right action are your divine inheritance, already fully present within you as potential, awaiting your conscious acceptance and release. This is why the stress evaporates. When you think you have to get something, you operate from a consciousness of not having. That consciousness, that feeling of absence, can only produce more experiences of not having. It's a self-defeating loop. But when you shift to the consciousness of being the riches, when you sit in the silent affirmation, I am the substance of divine supply, you are planting your flag in the realm of cause. You are not praying for water, you are declaring yourself to be the well. From that settled, unquestioned knowing, action arises not as desperate hustle, but as inspired impulse. You move because you are moved from within, guided by the intelligence of your own core OS. The action is then a form of grace, a natural extension of your being, not an exhausting attempt to become something you're not. Your value is no longer tied to a net worth statement. Your security is no longer tied to a job title or a market fluctuation. Those things become expressions, shadows on the wall, but they are not the substance. The substance is the unshakable I am that you are. $1 million in the bank or $10, the inner truth remains the same. You are the child of the infinite. The forms change, but the source does not. This is the foundation of fearless living. You engage with the world of form. You play the game of business and life with skill and joy, but you are never again hypnotized by it. You know the forms will come and go, ebb and flow, but your capital S self, which is the fount of all form, is constant, intact, and infinitely resourceful. You look at a challenge not as a threat to your resources, but as a call to more clearly recognize and express the boundless resource you are. The problem isn't a lack of money. It's a temporary obscuration of your awareness of being the very substance that money symbolizes. The solution is always a return to that awareness, not a frantic scramble in the world of effects. And this brings us to the grand finale of the old illusion, the moment the search ends. If you are the riches, and the world merely reflects that foundational truth back to you, then the entire metaphor you've been living under crumbles. You've spent your life acting as if there was a vault door standing between you and your fulfillment, a heavy, locked barrier of circumstance, competition, or your own perceived inadequacy. You've been banging on it, trying to pick the lock, begging for someone to open it from the other side, exhausting yourself against its imposing facade. But here is the revelation that changes everything. The vault has no lock. The barrier is a mirage, a projection of the very sense of separation that your journey inward is dissolving. The vault is simply the limitless storehouse of your own divine nature, the infinite potential of your I amness, and the only thing that ever seemed to lock it was your own acceptance of a state of consciousness that believed in separation and scarcity. The lock was never real. It was a thought form, a collective hypnosis you agreed to. It was the belief that you were on the outside looking in. But you are the vault itself. The wealth is not contained within you, as if you were a receptacle. It is the very substance of you. You cannot be locked out of your own being. The sense of being outside of striving and yearning is the only prison. This is why all true spiritual practice points to surrender, to stillness, to quieting the mind that insists the lock is real. When you stop focusing on the imagined barrier and instead rest in the awareness of what you truly are, the entire illusion of obstruction simply fades for lack of your attention. It was sustained by your belief, by your gaze. The door was only ever the threshold of your own awareness. Crossing it isn't an achievement, it's a letting go. You aren't breaking in, you're waking up inside. The treasures, the peace that passes understanding, the wisdom that knows what to do, the love that heals, the ideas that innovate, the supply that meets every need, aren't handed to you because you finally cracked the code. They are revealed as having been yours all along, inherent to your identity, waiting patiently for you to cease the frantic search and recognize your ownership. So the struggle wasn't a necessary prelude to the prize. It was just the noise of misunderstanding. The fatigue you felt on the hamster wheel was the friction of believing a lie. Your power was never in your ability to pick the lock, but in your sovereign ability to withdraw the belief that it existed. The outside world, with all its apparent obstacles and delays, was just a slow motion replay of your own inner conviction. When your conviction changes at the depth of your being, when you know not just hope that you are the flowing abundance of the infinite, the replay must change. New scenes must appear. People call it a miracle, but it's just consistency. The universe is always consistent with your deepest knowing of what's true. Your work is to arrive at the knowing that leaves no room for the myth of the lock, to live from the quiet certainty that you are, and always have been, on the inside of infinity, where every resource is immediately present to your consciousness the moment it is required. The search ends not with a finding, but with a profound and quiet recognition that causes you to smile at the sheer simplicity of it all.